Hey guys, we're out here on the range today and we're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to do actually an interview with one of my friends here. This is Jared Spencer, and he's going to tell you a little bit about himself. He is on the town council in one of our towns around here, and he's also one of the officers in the Spartanburg County Republican Party.
Well, Chris, I try to help out as much as I can for conservative causes in Spartanburg County. I do serve on Cowpens Town Council. Actually, we have a naval ship named after us. You know, USS Cowpens. People, A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of history in Cowpens, popular for the Revolutionary War. The turning point was in Cowpens, heading towards Kings Mountain. So it's a big deal. I've been on town council there since 2010.
Okay.
I'm actually the mayor pro tem of the town of Cowpens. I've served and I serve right now as the first vice chair of the Spartanburg County GOP. And I've helped out in a ton of different campaigns. I actually ran for the House seat in this district last year. Of course, we still got a good one in office. So I try to help out where I can and push these important issues. I know you're passionate about the Second Amendment and the Constitution in general. I am as well. I try to help out wherever I can to get the right candidates who support those causes in office.
What does the Second Amendment mean to you?
Well, the Constitution as a whole, not just the Second Amendment, but the Constitution as a whole is very important to me. You know, the Second Amendment specifically, I believe it just like it's written. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Yep.
You know, whether my opinion on, you know, people ask sometimes, say, what does that mean? Where do we draw the line out on what kind of weapons? You know, do you believe a man ought to be able to carry as many rounds as he wants, an automatic weapon? Well, the original intent at the time the Constitution was wrote was a tyrannical government. So we had to be armed enough to face this tyrannical government. So we needed the weapons that matched military-grade weapons.
Right.
And the Constitution was written in that direction, not for hunting. A lot of people get it mixed up. Wasn't necessarily for hunting, you know,
No.
which is good. But it's all about self-defense. And self-defense comes in many different forms. It can be personally, corporately, as David Barton teaches, against a tyrannical government. That's what it's all about. So to me, it's all about exactly what it says. Don't add more, don't take away from it. The right of citizen to keep and bear arms should not be infringed.
Yep.
So to me, that means you have the right, inalienable right of self-defense. The government doesn't give us that right. It recognizes it and protects it for us. That's what they're supposed to do.
Yep.
So that's what the Second Amendment means to me.
Good. Yeah, a lot of people want to try to force the Second Amendment just as a hunting thing. We have the right to go hunt if we want to. That's not necessarily protecting yourself. It's protecting yourself from being hungry.
Right.
Because you're going to be able to go get something to eat.
Right.
But,
the deer don't attack us.
yeah, the deer's not attacking us. So we're not really defending ourselves against the deer.
Right.
We're defending ourselves against the tyrannical government because the founders of the country had just fought a war, or were about to fight a war with a tyrannical king.
Right.
So they knew that frame of reference. They needed the guns to be able to protect themselves from people like that.
That's absolutely right. Now, everybody carried in those days.
Oh yeah.
They saw the importance of it. Not just against a tyrannical government, but for personal self-defense. If a crazy neighbor attacks your house, or if anybody attacks your house, you have that inalienable right of self-defense. That's a huge thing. Government should not be able to infringe on that. Cops and the police department, of course, I back the blue. They're not going to be able to get here fast enough to defend you, especially all the way down here in Pauline. So you've got to have that right to defend yourself wherever you go, even when you're not at home.
Yeah.
If you're out and about, you need to be able to self-defend. You need to be able to defend yourself, and weapons the best way to do that.
Yep.
That's the biggest deterrent to somebody trying to invade your privacy, take your liberty away. A weapon.
Yep.
That's the biggest deterrent.
And for the people who try to force the Second Amendment as only older style guns instead of modern weapons like the AR-15, or for that matter, semi-automatic pistols.
Right.
The Second Amendment was you had the right to have the whatever the Army was using at the time. And if you go back and look at history, what the Army was using at the time was their own personal weapons.
That's right.
It wasn't that the government issued them a gun. They brought what they had from home.
Well, you hear a lot about military grade weapons now. Well, the top weapon during that time was the cannon, I suppose. And you were allowed to own a cannon back then.
Yeah.
So you were allowed to own whatever the military was allowed to own to keep them at bay, to keep a tyrannical government at bay. So that don't hold water with me, even to today's standards. Of course, we've heard this new administration talking about we have F-16s and nukes. Well, we need to be able to match those. You know, of course we can't, you know, because it's too expensive. You can't afford them and all that.
But nowhere to land it.
Yeah, nowhere to land it. But automatic weapons, semi-automatic weapons, high capacity magazines, all that. I don't think that's overbearing at all.
No.
You know.
And there's no round count in the Constitution.
That's absolutely right. You know, a thug on the street he's not obeying the law. He's not going to follow weapon restrictions. So you need to be able to match whatever you need to defend yourself. That's what you ought to be able to get. And
yep.
that's what's the Constitution, how it was written. The government's supposed to be protecting that right of self-defense, no matter how extensive it is. So, so that, you know, and regardless of your opinions, you know, people have asked me, said, oh, you believe in the right to keep and bear arms, so do you think a guy ought to be able to walk around with a rocket launcher and all that? You know, you've got to use a little common sense here, but it doesn't matter what I think about it personally. I personally think some people don't need to have a gun in general, but it don't matter what I think. The Constitution grants them that right.
Mm-hmm.
It protects that right of self-defense. So it doesn't, and you know, I'm one of those type guys that believe we were given the Constitution providentially, basically.
Yeah.
So it's worked all these years, and we haven't even seen real gun control measures till late in the 20th century.
Yeah.
Later in the 20th century. So they always try to change it because every other country in the world knows not to attack us on our own land because we have the biggest armed army already here. We have, you know, they said in World War II, half the soldiers that were drafted already knew how to shoot. They didn't even have to be taught how to shoot. They come in sniping, you know, from hunting on the farm and this and that. So,
and that's something that I think that we've gotten away from as a society. We don't teach our kids to shoot anymore because not as many people are living in rural areas or areas where they can go out and shoot, or they haven't grown up hunting or something like that. So a lot of that I think contributes to the fact that we've become in some areas more of an anti-gun nation than what we're preaching from the Second Amendment.
You're absolutely right. A lot of people are not raised. The biggest gun control, you know, you want to talk about real gun control and gun safety, teach the children how to be around guns and how to use them and how to be safe with them. You know, most of the gun deaths and all the accidental shootings and all that come from a lack of knowledge on how a gun works and a lack of gun safety taught from home.
Yeah.
You know, as a parent, you can't just put your guns in the closet, put your pistols up high on a shelf and all that. You've got to actually teach your kids how this works, how serious it is, how you never aim you know, the typical safety talking points of gun control, gun safety. So we're not seeing any of that nowadays.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just, guns are just another tool to use, just like your oven.
Absolutely right.
And because you teach your kid to not put their hand on the oven so they're not scared of the oven.
Right.
But they know how to use it. So if you teach the child about the gun and how to use the gun, they're not going to be as afraid of things anymore.
Absolutely right.
And they're also not going to be as curious about it either.
Absolutely. Gun education is huge. And we need to focus on that more. You know, that would solve a lot of these accidental shootings and deaths. And even with deer rifles and deer hunting and any kind of gun usage, you know, I was taught at a young age, if you're if you're deer hunting, for example, and you're hunting 30 acres and there are some houses around, you need to pay attention to where you're shooting that, because that bullet's not just going to stop.
Right.
Once you pull the trigger at a certain spot, if you miss, or even if you hit, the bullet's going to keep going.
Yeah.
So you need to be aware of if you're shooting downhill or uphill, or where the houses are around the area, or who might be in the woods. You just got to practice real precaution when you're using this, and it all goes back to education.
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate enough to be taught this at a young age, and I guess we're not doing as good a job as a society getting out in front of this and educating more on gun safety.
Yep.
So even on the range, most ranges you go to, where most people there know how to operate their firearm, grew up doing it, they're still real safe at the gun range. You have to be. This is a serious thing, but it all goes back to education, and the government can't get that right. They think just taking the guns is going to solve the problem. Well, we see in cities all over America,
yeah,
that's been proven wrong. Chicago's the perfect example. It gets used a lot because it's weekly.
Yeah.
Weekly, we see the example they see.
Yeah, the cities that have the strictest gun laws typically have the highest crime rates.
Oh, yeah.
Just look at, like you said, Chicago or Washington, D.C.
Oh,
or
Lord.
New York. You can't hardly even get a law-abiding citizen can't hardly even get a gun. The criminals, they don't have problems
Right.
getting guns because they don't follow the laws to begin with, hence they're criminals.
Right.
So, it's,
Yep. And they're taking away, the local government is taking away your inalienable right of self-defense on the streets. And I wouldn't feel comfortable walking. Fortunately, we live in an area where we don't have to worry as much about that. But I wouldn't feel comfortable walking down the sidewalks in Chicago unarmed.
I've done it, and I was unarmed because I was not going to carry a gun in Chicago because I feared I'd get arrested.
Right.
But when I was up there, you have to keep your head on a swivel and make sure that you're watching everything around you, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Every week. We hear those statistics every single week.
The new gun laws that have been passed in South Carolina, the open carry with training. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I am glad we've actually seen some movement in this. And it's huge. It's been a long time coming, of course. The ultimate goal, again, is to get back to the Constitution. Constitutional carry is what we actually want. Open carry, it's nice, and it's a step forwards. And like we talked about earlier, thank God you don't have to worry about your shirt getting hung on your holster and you being exposed and possibly getting your CWP taken, or your rights taken away. They waived the $50 permit fee, which was nice. So there was a few good things that come out of it. It doesn't go far enough, of course. I'm happy with what we've got. As of right now, I want it to go further. I want constitutional carry. It's our right. It's our right. I want our rights protected, our constitutional rights protected. But I'm glad to see that they did something.
Yeah, and the other part of that law that I think was a good thing for us is the Second Amendment sanctuary.
Yes, that was huge.
They put in there.
Yes, that was huge too. Like I said, it's been a long time coming. Nothing happened for years and years. We've been advocating for this, lobbying our local elected officials for this, our state house representatives, our senators. Nothing's been done. So it is a step forward, thank God.
Yeah.
That's a huge part of it. So still, it's a good step heading towards constitutional carry.
I know it's like asking a parent what their favorite child is, and unless you're just have one child like I do, then you can pick your favorite child, unless she's really been bad that day. But what is your favorite gun? And tell me a little bit about it and why it might be one of your favorites.
Well, again, it's like you said, picking your favorite child. It all depends on what's going on. I have my favorite shotgun if I'm skeet shooting or turkey hunting or whatever. I have my favorite rifle if I'm deer hunting. But if I have some that are real sentimental to me that my grandfather passed down, some pistols. But as far as just the most used, the most carried, I guess it's my Glock 26, which I have here. It's a subcompact 9mm. It's great it's polymer, so polymer base, so I don't have to worry about sweating it being on my side or anything like that. It's got a double stack 10-round magazine with it. It's perfect for, it's not too small for concealed carry. That's mainly what I'd bought it for to begin with. But it fits my hand just right. And that's huge. Whatever's comfortable, whatever you're more comfortable shooting with, I think's huge. This one fits me to a T.
Yep.
It's not as fancy. It's not as decorative as some of the higher grade guns are, the Kimbers and the higher grade SIGs and all that. But this one fits me to a T. It's a perfect all-around carry gun. I've been carrying it constantly for 5-6 years now.
Yeah.
It's never failed me at the range. So this Glock 26 9mm subcompact 9mm would probably be my go-to gun.
Yeah.
Not my favorite, so to speak, but my hardest working gun.
Glocks are very reliable, and there's the joke about the block Glock, you know, all that type of thing, because they are not a very decorative
Not at
gun,
all. Not at
but they are functional, they're reliable, they're great guns.
Yes. Yep. And that, like I said, no frills, no thrills. It comes with it. You can get all kind of accessories for Glocks.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it. They're easy to tear down. They're easy to clean. I brought this to show just on the video. This is actually my 50-round magazine that goes in the Glock. So just in case, you know, I don't want the government coming after this. They always talk about high capacity magazines and all that. This might protect my family. I've told my wife, if somebody just, you know, talking at night and stuff, I told her, I said, if anybody ever breaks in, get in the closet while I see what's going on and put this magazine in there. That'll be enough rounds for you to cause a lot of damage, you know, should something go real bad. So I'm glad we have stuff like this. I had some other accessories in here.
Yep.
15, 20 round magazines. So
Yeah.
just a lot of accessories with this. It's not that expensive. Most people can afford a Glock.
Yeah.
And it's a good gun for the money.
Yeah. Yeah, and there are a lot of aftermarket things that you can get for Glock. If you look on just about any of the websites with gun stuff, they've got more stuff aimed at Glock owners.
Yes.
Than they do just about any other manufacturers. You put several of them combined,
That's absolutely right.
and they're still not going to have as many accessories as the Glocks do.
And see, some of my other pistols, I always have to worry, even in the holster, my leather holster I have for some of them, I don't want to scratch my wood grain on it, and they're all shined up. You don't want to bother them. Glocks, you don't really have to worry about that.
Right.
You know, scratch it.
Yeah.
Just it'll wipe down, wipe off. It's not fancy anyway, so
Yep.
it's a good all-around gun.
Yep.
I'd recommend a Glock.
Good deal. Yep. Well, let's get set up and let's let you shoot it a little bit.
Cool. Don't judge me. Clear.
Good job.
That first shot, I don't even know where it went.
May have pulled it down a little bit or something like that.
Had to get my-
Kept everything in the red.
And the keel's on there.
Yep.
Aiming for the center, but you see how that is.
Yep. And one thing I like about the way the sights are on the Glock, they've got the big horseshoe there in the back, so it's easy to line the sights up on the Glocks.
Yeah. It makes a big difference when you're looking at it, the contrast drawn.
Yeah.
If I had this range at my house, I would be bullseye just about every time, I guess. Ready?
Go for it.
I was trying to take his eyes out. But
Going for a couple of headshots.
yeah, a couple of headshots there.
There you go. Good deal. Well, Jared, thanks for coming out and showing us one of your guns and
Sure.
talking to us about the Second Amendment and what you believe in the Constitution. And check out doublelegalgunworks.com for more information and like and subscribe at the bottom. We'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks.